everybody because you truthfully only can be in love with or have love for about 150 people in your life. And then outside of that, it's lust. So with the over 85,000 people that are here, he couldn't love more than like 100 of you at the same time. It's not statistically possible. Either way, we appreciate the compliment. Now, or at least I'm gonna take it as a compliment. Your bromance, which is like a romance between bros, is legendary, or at least it was. I would take. I don't know, bro. Like at this age, and I'm like 30 years younger than you. I don't know if I am more okay with the lust at this point than I am with the constant commitment from the other person. Um, oh yeah, I'm not gonna turn away the lust. Oh, of course. If I can have a quantity of lustful situations every day of the week, then by all means, I'll work it till it breaks off. But the mechanisms behind it though is a few shallow lustful encounters with an individual that ends up being a long-standing wish that she never left kind of situation versus having that loyalty from an individual that we could have that frequent physical interaction with far above that of a lustful encounter. I believe that that commitment would be a little bit better for me because a different person 3 times a week, excluding the possibility of any potential STDs or pregnancies, a different person 3 times a week is never going to have any level of stability in a relationship. And while physicality does work, that is a lot of work. And then it is only going to satisfy us, even with that pill, hour, 2 hours. And then after that, we have the rest of the week putting in effort to get the next lustful situation. Now, if we were the kind of guys that like women were like lining up at the door waiting for their turn, where we wouldn't have to do anything, just like open the door and it's like Tuesday number 3, you're up, then yeah, because it wouldn't matter. We'd be exhausted. But the effort that a man has to put into to get a emotional connection or even a physical connection is just too much effort, in my opinion, to try to get into that lustful interaction 3 times a week. It's like selling life insurance door to door salesperson. It's like selling Ginzu knives door to door. I don't see myself putting forth that much effort to get 3 sales a week every week for the rest of my no, fuck it. At some point, I have got to start getting some residual ass from somewhere. Somebody's got to come back for a repeat because I am tired of trying to. My calendar should be booked up for a third or fourth go round. Like I don't know, my next opening is in July, like something like that. Because if not, I don't know. I don't feel like. But I mean, of course, yeah, if you don't have that many lustful encounters, then of course you might want to lean towards the lust because it'll be a new experience. Are you killing a place a calendar on my door? Got the lots of action. All right. All right. Well, but you're 71. So I mean that's like sitting on Santa's lap and getting a present. That doesn't work at my age. Maybe in 20 years I might be able to do that, but right now I don't know. Maybe after we passport up and we start flying to some other countries, we might start seeing some change, but not right now. No, I don't see it happening right now. So, considering the fact that your bromance was built on a foundation of late night video games, questionable takeout, road trips with no real destination, and a kind of loyalty that felt more like a brotherly pact than just a friendship. You guys were a unit, a team, an unbreakable duo. Then it happens. A new person entered the equation, changing the entire dynamic. One of you get a serious girlfriend, and suddenly, quietly, without a big fight or a dramatic fallout, you started to feel like a third wheel in your own friendship. When you went from co-pilot to passenger, because you always know that you put your homies in the back and you put your girl in the front, just to watch the car drive off into the distance eventually, where you're not even going with anymore. If this story feels painfully familiar, you need to know that you are not alone. There are a deep and powerful set of reasons why this hurts so much. And before we get into the breakdown, we have to appreciate what was built. Only then we can understand the weight of the loss when it starts to crumble. Because I did a while working at Mount Rainier. Of course, I was younger. Yeah, you was working at Mount Rainier in the 60s. I I don't see myself climbing to a top of a mountain so that I can have this lodge where I can give women a choice between me and the bear. Because I mean, so many of the women that make it seem like they would go after the bear instead of going after me, I would be eating good, because after the bear kicked their ass, I'd be eating legs and thighs in the woods like Hannibal Lecter. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, why put in all this effort? You know what I mean? Because believe it or not, whether women agree with it or not, men are the prize, because the goal is for a woman who is self-sufficient, doing it for herself, alpha boss lady, own job, own car, own crib, to find a man that's more successful than her. That is it. This isn't about women being less valuable than men. No matter how A class, S status a woman is, she's got to find a man that's S plus status. She's got, if she is a 10, she's got to find a 10 plus, right? That's the expectation. Because if he's beneath her, if he's a 9 and she's a 10, he's not good enough. So we already understand that men are the prize. And since men are the prize, why is the prize putting so much effort into being won? Why isn't the prize putting in effort into being valuable so that the prize can be valuable or valued by the person who gains the prize? See, the old ideology of trophy wives, a trophy wife is worthless. It is something that everybody looks at, wish that they had, but serves no purpose to you outside of bragging rights. That's a trophy wife. Anybody who's ever won a wall full of trophies, a wall full of awards, a wall full of plaques and successes could say the same thing, that most of the awards, the trophies that they've won in their life, they don't go back and dust them off on a monthly basis and appreciate those trophies. Well, a trophy wife doesn't hold value. Now, like Michael says, they marry for money. When they get that dude that's got more than her, no matter how much she's got, whether she's a $50,000 a year woman dating a $75,000 a year man, or she's a $100,000 a year woman dating a $200,000 man. Fact is, she's going to marry up. So we have to understand that as men, we shouldn't be fighting so hard to get the attention of the woman that is going to benefit from the efforts of the man. Men should essentially, while we already have a low acceptance rate, we should essentially wait our turn, like cattle in the woods, and wait for them to come and pluck us off. We're going to clearly be in our 50s and 60s when it happens, but we'll be more financially stable because we're not wasting all of our money on people who are not interested in us. They're interested in the entertainment that we're paying for. And as long as men are willing to pay for the entertainment of women, to convince the woman to stay with the man to be entertained for the rest of her life, then when he can't entertain her anymore, she's not satisfied. She leaves him for another man who can entertain her, and all the money he spent on entertaining her before she left is a waste of money, wasted investment. Yeah, the sex was good, but you could probably get the same quality from an escort, a prostitute, a OnlyFans girl, Backpage account, What local ex-listers? I mean, they got a Craigslist for that right now. And it's cheaper than a relationship. The Riley theory. We covered that on the show. But that's not today's topic. Today we're talking about bros being jealous of bros. And we're going to be addressing why it happens and what to do about it. You better be happy with a Happy Meal. What? Oh, hell no. I completely object to that, Michael. Why am I spending $15 on a Happy Meal? She better get her a Snickers and a glass of ice water. Not even a glass, because they might charge for a cup. They're gonna have to give her one of them little the little plastic cuppy things with just like 30 cubes of ice and a little bit of spritz of water in it. Give me that $1.25 candy bar. That's all she get. And if the straw costs 10 cents, you ain't getting a straw. Drink out the lid. You ain't getting nothing else. You gotta earn your keep. We just talked about that with Poland. You gotta earn your keep. You, in order for stuff to be gotten for you, they have to get in there and do something to be worth get. Just because you look pretty don't mean that you did nothing. You showed up, that don't mean that you did nothing. A refill cup, shit, you better get a leftover cup. You better wash out my cup and refill that. Well, let's go ahead and dive back into into this fan reunion because we about to go in now. Think back to how it started when you and your homeboy met. Maybe it was high school, you know, uh, suffering through the same chemistry class, or college, two guys in a sea of new faces who bonded over a shared taste of music, or a fraternity where you bonded over the ability to pick up chicks. You know, it could have even been at a dead end job where the only thing that made the day bearable was the dark humor that you shared in the break room. Like Donald Trump said, grab them right in the, you know what I'm trying to tell you. The origin story doesn't matter as much as what you built on top of it. This wasn't just a buddy. I mean, this was your person. The guy you'd call at 2 a.m. because you just watched the movie with a wild ending and needed to debrief immediately. The guy who helped you move, you know, a ridiculously heavy couch up 3 flights of stairs for nothing more than a pizza and a beer. A currency universally understood in the bromance economy is, you know, if you need me, I got you. The friendship ran on its own frequency, a network of inside jokes so old that you barely remember how they started. A single word could communicate paragraphs of meaning. It was the remember that time that could turn any serious conversation into 20 minutes of uncontrollable laughter. It was the disastrous camping trip where it rained for 72 hours straight, yet you now remember it as one of the best weekends of your lives. You know, all that night, gaming sessions to finally beat that impossible boss, finally get to the Super Bowl on Madden, finally break Floyd Mayweather's undefeated streak on Fight Night. Victories that felt as significant as any real world achievement. You know, the friendships was a support system, but not always in the ways that you see on TV. And research backs this up because men's friendships often look different from women's, where female friendships are frequently built on face to face emotional talks. Male friendships are often built shoulder to shoulder, centered around shared activities, goals, and a sense of belonging to the same tribe. He says, a simple look, and you knew exactly what they were thinking. Oh man, I got to tell you, that you said that reminds me of a story. So, a buddy of mine, after we were drag racing down the interstate with an undercover cop car, we beat the cop car by about 5 miles. Like we left him in the dust. Before he could pull us over, we ditched the cop off the interstate, parked our car by nearby Applebee's, and we had to let the car cool off because this was an old school 83 Cadillac. And it was one of the last no, this one was a Crown Victoria, not the Cadillac. This one was the 83 Crown Victoria. This one was that 5.0 302 small block, the last of the full size steel body frames. That bad boy was getting it, but I mean, we kind of overworked the radiator on it. Now it pays attention to the story that we're talking about right now, because me and my buddy, while we let the car cool off, we went into the Applebee's, right? Now, again, I'm here with the glasses on because, I've always had prescription glasses that look like this. Now, my buddy thought that it would be entertaining for us to pretend like I was blind and mute. And for about 45 minutes, we had everybody in the restaurant thinking that I could hear sign language. And we played this role for a good grip. And then after, I think what happened was, after somebody got me a drink, I reached for the drink, picked it up, I started drinking the drink, and someone was like, "Wait, you can see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, can't you?" And they were like, "Oh my God!" And everybody flipped out. It was hilarious. So it's situations like that. These are awesome stories. Um, so yeah, we would go back and forth, and bros would be able to do that. We'd be able to think about these wild stories where we've gone places, we've done things, and you realize, the emotional support was there, but it was always coded. It wasn't always a long heart to heart conversation. More often it was him just showing up to hang out after you went through a tough breakup. I had a buddy who came over to the house one day because he crashed his favorite car while drinking and driving. He came over to the house and sat there, and we drank another bottle. Doesn't fix the problem, but he gets to get over the fact that he totaled out his favorite car after getting his other car repossessed for drinking and driving. 3/4 of the way through the bottle, I reminded him, maybe if you stop drinking, you'll stop crashing cars. And he ended up quit drinking. I mean, granted, they had to put him on a breathalyzer, do blood tests, and make him go through all of the drug and alcohol classes, but he ended up quit drinking. And it was insane because the third car that he had, I ended up being his designated driver because he couldn't drive. So I'm driving all of his Mustangs, I'm driving my Audis, and so I have a stream of cars all over the place because I had my cars and I had his cars because he couldn't drive none of his cars. So whenever he needed a ride, he would call me, and that's where Uber started with us. It's incredible, right? We could touch base with these. More often than not, you'll find that a situation where you can think back when your homeboy brought over your favorite six pack after a bomb job interview to make you feel better, or your favorite pizza, or take you out to your favorite nightclub and y'all would hang out and have a few brews. He would be the dude that you talk to after a breakup, or after a disappointing discussion with a family member. It was simple when they would bring to you comments like, "Dude, that sucked," which in the language of romance meant, "I see your pain and I'm here for you, and your feelings are valid." You know, the whole everything that they went through, and "Man, that sucks. Let me buy you a drink." That's a wrap. That validated the whole scenario. You didn't always need to talk about the feelings. You just needed to know the other person was there. The intimacy was in the shared actions, not always in shared confessions, right? And that, he said, yeah, the best friend, right? At least one of them. And That's what made it feel so secure. So this was a constant scenario. Girlfriends come and go. Jobs are won and lost, but the friendship was the anchor. You didn't need to schedule time a month in advance. A simple "you busy" text was all it took. What you doing? Where you at? And this wasn't just about having fun either. Some theories suggest this taps into something primal. For our ancestors, being part of a trusted group meant protection and survival. So loneliness wasn't just a sad feeling, it was a threat. And in some ways, our brains haven't forgotten that. Having that one steadfast uh, ally gives you a deep sense of security. So that one ally that's able to like roll with you no matter what gives you the sense of security that you need to keep pushing. So a lot of us can think right now that we could probably lose a few fingers off of one hand and still count a few good men that we could roll with, right? And know that this small group of people that we have, because men have a smaller friend group, a much smaller friend group than women, and we thrive off of that. So feelings like you're losing your homie isn't just a social bummer. On a subconscious level, it can feel like a threat to your stability. So when we talk about a legendary bromance, we're talking about a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, one or two fingers. When you talk about losing half your hand and still being able to count the number of close friends you got, you're talking about one or two fingers. We don't even need to count three. One or two fingers. That's all we really. That's all we got. That's all we got. Right. A shared identity with this individual, a safe harbor in a world that often tells men to suppress their need for connection. And you weren't just friends, you were a unit. And that's why when the first crack appeared in your bromance, it felt like an earthquake. It never starts with a formal announcement of your demotion. It's far more subtle. It begins with a single sentence, usually delivered with a goofy, excited grin. Dude, I met someone. That's usually the first crack in the bromance. After your first reaction is genuine happiness, of course it is. You know that you're going to be excited for them. Yeah, they got somebody. This is your best friend. You want them to be happy. You clap them on the back and ask to see some pictures. Hopefully inappropriate. Make an obligatory joke about him being tied down, and then that's it. But here comes the first group hangout. It's gonna be a little awkward, which is to be expected because you're not supposed to get too close to her, but you're not supposed to treat her like shit either. You try to include her in the old stories, but the punchlines require a decade of shared context that she doesn't have. And a lot of the information you don't want to tell her because you don't want to devalue your homeboy in front of the chick. Michael says you'll come across many people in life, but only one or two true friends in life. Sucky, sucky. Yeah, that's true. It does suck a lot. Yeah. Now, the inside jokes land with a polite but confused smile. And you're going to notice that your homie's a little different. He's more aware of his language and translating your weird reference for her so that it doesn't offend her. You leave feeling okay, but with a faint, unpleasant sense of distance. The real shift happens in the logistics because it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. First, the spontaneous hangouts die. The "you busy" text is now met with "sorry man, I have plans with Sarah," or "let me check with Sarah." You know what I'm saying? I always got to ask my girl. I gotta get approval to go out and hang out with my home. Default assumption of availability is gone now. Your time slot is now subject to review by an invisible two-person committee, which usually indicates he ain't going nowhere, right? With over 8 billion people on Earth and you can't find love, it's not that you can't find love. Let's stick on this side topic real quick. 8 billion people on Earth, regardless of how we look at it, it is close to a 50-50 ratio. It's about 49.9 men, 51 or 50.1 women, more women than men in most countries around the world. Even in countries where the countries favored the boys being born over the girls because of the patriarchal societies, they still have a massive balance of more women than men that stay in the country. When those countries have the patriarchy travel around the world to better the business for the family. So you still have in every country natives more women than men more often than not. Now, Michael can always verify that there is at least one country somewhere that has more men than women in it. But for the most part, the majority of societies, there are more women than men, even if it's by just 2 or 3 extra women than men. Clearly, because we Paul Walker ourselves into an early grave. We between we us being nagged to death by our wives. We have a large quantity of male suicides due to stealing children from the fathers. Then we have reckless behavior from men, drag racing, and other such extreme activities that leads to early graves. The men don't hang around as long as women. Okay. Now, the fact is not that we cannot find love. The concept that we fail to understand is that we cannot find our ideal person and be in love at the same time, because we can find love. We can be loved by somebody that we are not attracted to, like the gentleman we had talked about the other day, either last Sunday or Sunday before, when the man was talking about how he had a great girl, she was very beautiful, but he just wasn't attracted to her. Now, the type of girl that he might have been attracted to, he might have not have been in love with, or she might have not have been in love with him. You know, the he said quarter men, 71%. So 25% of men, 71% of women are worldwide. Is that what you're trying to say? But the dynamic is that if you learn to love who loves you, then it would be easier to maintain a relationship. And that goes both ways. But if you are only willing to get into a relationship with somebody that you have fallen head over heels for, that doesn't mean that they have fallen head over heels for you. So out of 8 billion people on Earth, it is hard for you to want a person that meets your expectations, and that person has you as one of their expectations. Yeah, that's hard. It's fucking impossible, just about. And you see that with the terrible success rate of online dating. I love gay guys. It means more women for me. I definitely agree with that. Now, Michael says a quarter of men, 71%. So let me double check, because he's given us somewhat of a statistic, but I'm not sure what he's referring to here. So let's double check. Let's see how many men would it be? Would the start off with what I was just saying, and I believe that there is reasonably more women than men around the world. Uh, Typically, I'm not wrong. I hold a 95 or 98% accuracy in the information that I typically provide. But we'll see that. And while we're waiting on those facts to come through, um, that is one of the biggest issues that we've always had in our lives. The person that we want doesn't want us. And a lot of the times, the person that we want that wants us, we don't want that person. Oh, here we go. As of 2025, the global population has a little bit more men than women. The world population gender ratio is approximately 101.07 males for every 100 females, meaning there are about 43.8 million more men than women worldwide in terms of absolute number. Out of roughly 8 billion people, about 4.9 billion are men and about 4.5 billion are women, and this slight male majority is consistent with the natural higher number of male births, although men have higher mortality rates at all ages. Consequently, the ratio tends to balance out and even shift towards more women in older ages. So overall and holistic. So what about uh, because I've done this study before, that somewhere between 35 and 45, the ratio starts becoming two women to one man. Uh, and me and Michael are both above middle age. uh, Now, when we start dealing with individuals that are in their 40s and 50s, women tend to outnumber men, while men slightly outnumber women at the younger age range. Women generally live longer than men, so by the age of 50 and above, women typically outnumber men globally. Specifically, data indicates that women account for more than half of the population above the age of 48 worldwide, and this demographic trend is consistent in many regions. And as populations age, the proportion of women increase even more. Patterns result from higher male mortality rates related to biological, behavioral, and health factors. Thus, in 40s and 50 age groups, women outnumber men globally. So, just wanted to make sure that we cover that. He said, no, the country is Qatar and the population of males is 71%. Yeah, I told you that you can find at least one country that has more men than women. Do you like uh, having fun together? Oh, do you like having fun together? Because I'll make you feel great and I hope you want it again. All right. So, I exactly enjoy having fun with all of my fans, and you produced a funny. So I appreciate that. That tickled our fancy today. Just barely on the cusp of inappropriate. We like that. I like those odds. Oh yeah, because you in your 70s, that means that women are 3 to 1 in your age. So yes, you could put a calendar on your door, and all of the other 70-year-old women will come knocking on your door, which is probably why swingers are very profound in their late 60s, early 70s. But when you're dealing with your bromance, you recognize those rain checks that start happening with you and your homie. Plans you made a week ago get canceled last minute. Hey man, sorry, bud. Sarah had a long weekend. Think we're just gonna do a quiet night in, because something happened to her, your homeboy bails. You say, no problem, man, totally get it. Because you do. But a small, ugly part of you thinks, I've had a long week too, and our plan was what I was looking forward to. But you swallow it. You don't want to be that guy. So next, you get downgraded from co-star to reoccurring guest character. When you do hang out, it's often as a trio. The dynamic is fundamentally different. Conversations that used to be a free for all of unfiltered opinions are now more subdued. You find yourself self censoring. You don't want to seem like a bad influence or a juvenile devil on his shoulder. And the all night gaming sessions are replaced by couples brunches. You start to feel like an accessory to their relationship. You sit at the table listening to them talk about their shared future and realize that you have nothing to add. You were a co author of his story. Now you're just the audience, right? This is where the quiet resentment starts to brew. It's a low simmering bitterness that you feel guilty for even having. You resent the new inside jokes that they have that you're not involved in. You resent the way he smiles and texts from her while you're mid sentence communicating with him. You resent the feeling like you're having to make an appointment to see your own best friend, where you might even start to resent her, even if she's perfectly nice. She becomes a symbol of the friendship that you lost. And it's often unfair and irrational, but it's a powerful feeling that you don't always have the opportunity to control. Like Michael said, being the third wheel. Um, it's a really weird dynamic to be in. The resentment often comes out in passive aggressive ways. Research even confirms this common male response to friendships is jealousy. And it might be sarcastic humor. Oh, look at who got a hall pass for the night. Or you might find yourself constantly bringing up the good old days to remind him of the bonds that he's neglected. You know, the worst part is the guilt. Society tells you to be unconditionally happy for your homie. So any feeling of jealousy or abandonment feels selfish and petty. Men, especially, aren't given a script for this. We're not allowed to share our emotions and our feelings. So we don't have an appropriate way to express any concerns that we have with feeling left out of our homie's life. We don't sit our friends down and tell them that I feel like you're abandoning me and it's making me feel lonely and insecure, because we're going to demasculate that particular conversation. Instead, we bottle it up and we withdraw. We let the distance grow until one day we realize that you haven't had a real one on one conversation in months. Sometimes you come to find out that you haven't talked to your homie in a couple years now. Y'all used to be best friends. The legendary bromance has become a myth. Now, if any of this is hitting home, first thing you need to do is stop beating yourself up. Second thing you need to do is make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification button. Your feelings are not just valid, they are a normal response to a major psychological event. This isn't just losing a drinking buddy. This is about grief, status, and a fundamental wiring of our brains. So let's break down why being replaced cuts so deep. What's your feeling is a form of grief. Grief isn't just for the death of someone that you know, love, or care about. It's the response to any significant loss. You actually could feel a little level of grief when your pet gives more attention to somebody else. You're grieving the loss of the friendship as you knew it. You're mourning the end of an era defined by spontaneity and total priority. It's okay to be sad about that. Like any grieving process, you might go through the denial. No, nothing's changed. Anger, the resentment, bargaining. Maybe if I'm friends with her, things will go back to normal. And then depression, which is the loneliness. Acknowledging that you're mourning a loss legitimizes the pain. You're not being dramatic, you're being human. This is maybe the most accurate way to describe it. And Michael says, in the worst case, they commit suicide. Shoo! You got some folks, bro, that will dive off a bridge, walk out in front of a bus, fall onto a train track, That's the extreme cases, and I hope that we don't have any of those. But if you're feeling like you need to make a call to an emergency number and let them know that you're feeling some grief, you should do that. Your feelings are still valid, no matter how extreme they are. It is just that you have to find an appropriate outlet to express them that doesn't cause harm to you or to anybody else. Now, before she arrived, you remember that you were in the front seat helping navigate. Not in my life because the dog was in the front seat helping navigate. And in order for you to ride shotgun, the dog had to be sitting in your lap. And this son bitch is big. You seen that big bastard up here all in my face on the top of my thing, like Mufasa from the Lion King, looking like a giant ass gargoyle just up here in front of my bookshelf. But those days before the girl stepped in, you were an active participant in the journey of your homie's life. And when a new partner becomes serious, she rightfully takes the co-pilot seat. So you in the back. When y'all go places as a group, you're in the back. If y'all both got a girlfriend, then it's okay because either both of the dudes are in the front and the chicks are in the back, or he's in the back with his girl and you're in the front with your girl, and y'all are able to mesh it up. But when it's just one of y'all with a partner and you end up in the back, because you got to think about the other dynamic. If he's driving and his girl's coming, she's riding in the front. If you're driving and his girl's coming, they're both riding in the back. So either you're a chauffeur for the two of them, or you're being chauffeured by the two of them. You're not on the same social dynamic because in modern society and Western culture, we prioritize riding in the front seat where royalty rides in the back. Politicians ride in the back. Politicians don't ride a Secret Service rides in the front. Everybody of status rides in the back. But everybody with no status fights to sit in the front. So when your girl sits in the front, you know, she earned the right to be in the front. To me, I think let her be in the front because the stuff I'm about to do in this back seat, she don't want to see it. Michael says the dog has priority to get in the back. You damn right. Oh, bro, I gotta tell you. Speaking of that, so I know I told y'all one time before I had a chick that tried to make me choose between her and a dog, and I got rid of her and got me a second dog. Now, the funny thing is that when we used to go places, the dog sat in the front. The dog had her own seat belt and a cushy seat to sleep in with a blanket and everything. And the girl rode in the back seat. And this chick had a daughter. Her daughter could ride in the front seat because the daughter liked to hold the dog. So the dog would be in the seatbelt with the little girl, and the mom would be in the back seat. Mom never rode in the front because I take my dogs everywhere. So, so she made me choose between her and a dog, and I was like, I don't know what to tell you. The dog has been here like 9 years already. You've been here for a couple months. I mean, dog kind of got you beat. But oh yeah, Michael said I rode in the middle in the front. Nah, I ride in the middle in the back. About that whole riding shoddy thing. I don't like riding in the front. If I'm not driving, I don't like riding in the front. I prefer to get in the back. Matter of fact, the extra mile. Not only do I prefer to ride in the back, I prefer for you to open my door so that I can get in and out of the car as I ride in the back. Mentality. Because getting out of the front with your homie is not a status symbol. Getting out of the back where somebody opened the door for you, status symbol. Gotta understand the difference. It's a whole nother mindset. Something as simple as whether or not they opened your door for you to get out the car. Status symbol. Now, when you're dealing with sports cars like Corvettes or Hellcats or whatever the case may be, where you're trying to be that racer persona, the person in the driver's seat holds more prestige to the person in the passenger seat. But when you start thinking about like Lexus, G4s, um, Lincoln Town cars, Bentleys, all of that stuff, when you're getting out the back seat, you're not the driver. A Mercedes Benz, a Cadillac, you're getting out the back seat, you're not the driver. The driver is the chauffeur. The chauffeur is to help. So status symbol, you ride in the back. So people who fight for the front seat, go ahead, have it. Have at it. Now, children fight for the front seat because they feel like babies ride in the back and I'm an adult and I want to sit in the front. Oh, that's all right. You could you can ride in the front, or royalty, you can sit in the back. Now, with my kids, I would go the extra mile and I would teach my kids about royalty. Not only would they ride in the back, I would have to pop the trunk, roll out the red carpet, then open the door for them and give them a little bow as they walk to school so that their classmates know they got status when they show up. Mindsets of people. You got to think about that. Now, Michael said real quick, he said, let the girl open your door. I expect her to open my door. Fellas, if you dating a female, I don't care if you open her door to let her in the car first or not. If she don't put effort to swing your door open, you kick her out the car, because there is no reason why she is not going to open the door for you, because uniformity and feminist equality indicates that if a man is willing to open a door for you and you value that man and appreciate that gesture, you should open a door for him. Now, ladies, there's a lot of y'all in here, because about 54% of y'all are female right now. Come up here and comment. Come on, comment. Tell me what you think about that. Now, when we start addressing the guy's primary emotional investment in his future plans, you start thinking about how they have all defaulted to the girl that you're dating right now. When your homie gets into a relationship, his life with his homeboy, where they were making plans to conquer the world together and be big business tycoons or travel the world or whatever, passport bros, whatever. Soon as one of them gets a girlfriend, the first thing that guy does is defaults to a world with her in it. And you've been moved to the back. You're still on the ride for a while at least, but you have no control over the outcome of the future anymore. Your input is no longer essential, and this loss of status can be a huge blow to your ego. For years, your identity was intertwined with your homies. You were, Mark and David, and now it's Sarah and Dave. Oh, and his friend Mark in some situations. In the social hierarchy of your friend's life, you've been displaced. He said, Miss P is strong. That's right. That's right. Especially with a man who's weak for it because he ain't had it in a while. It's strong. It's strong. The force is strong with that P. I'm trying to tell you. The whole situation gets amplified, though, by what some experts call a friendship recession. For example, a 2021 survey showed that 15% of men reported having no close friends, a sharp increase from 3% in 1990. Now, that doesn't capture every experience, and plenty of guys maintain strong friendship groups, but the trend shows that many men, many men, have only one or two real close friends. And when you've placed all your platonic emotional eggs into one basket, and that basket is suddenly carried off by some hot chick with a tight butt, the sense of loss can feel catastrophic. Recent Pew Research data adds another layer to this because it's not that men necessarily report feeling loneliness or even a higher level of loneliness than women do, but they do tend to rely less on their friends' networks for deep emotional support. So a romantic partner often becomes an all-in-one social and emotional hub. So when your uh, feelings for your best friend are pulled away, you are not just losing a friend, you're facing the terrifying prospect of losing your primary support system because everything you need you got from one or two people, and if one of them left, your half of your network is gone. The thought of starting from scratch to build a new one, especially one that's 10, 15, 20 years in the making, can feel impossible. Special shout out to Michael. He said, I learned something new. What did you learn today, Mike? What did you learn today? This is a high volume situation. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe as y'all come through here. Now let's talk about jealousy while Michael tells me what he's learned today, because we just touched base on some stuff. Male friendships is on the decline today. Why? Social distancing. That's why. Um, the entire world has increased its social distancing since COVID. More people are making more relationships, whether they're platonic relationships between friends or romantic relationships. They're making more relationships online, and they're ideally observed as fictitious relationships because these are individuals that you would not see or talk to on the phone. You would not experience them in person. So, in your reality, when you log off of this podcast, when you turn off your phone, when you look around, the number of people that you can reach out and slap in the face or punch in the groin or high five or, you know, go over and crack a beer and say cheers to, salud, Feliz Navidad, and chug down a few. Let's think about those of you that are into the recreational stuff, the person that you would sit with and they would break it up, you would roll it up, and they would fire it up and you would smoke it up. The homie that, you know, they would bring over something that you wasn't expecting them to bring over, and then now you tripping balls on something, you doing a line of cocaine on something. When you look around, the number of people in your actual reach that you can do what you normally do with your homies, like Michael said, zero. You got nobody. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. You can say that you have. I could say that I have 85,000 friends because I got so many people that follow this podcast. But how many of those people do I have the motivation to go see in person? Not call on the phone, not shoot a text message to go see in person. So, because you're thinking about when what we're talking about now is the actual legitimate emotional compromisation of your in-person relationship with your best friend from way back when, based on an in-person relationship with his romantic partner in person. So when you ask yourself, why are there less men having male groups? Is because more men have online groups, gamers, podcasters, uh, social media trendsetters. We are establishing more identity online than in person because guys don't depend on emotional stability. We more thrive off of physical intimacy, but we do need emotional stability. But we get that emotional stability from the buddy that we used to be able to call on the phone, shoot a text message to, go hang out on the weekends, even if we didn't live in the same state, fly out once a month or once every other month. And that interaction was the interaction that fulfilled you for the rest of the time, but until the next time y'all hang out with one another. If you had 3 friends and you go and visit one friend every month, you still had a network of fulfillment. And then when those friends all have girlfriends and you're the only one without a girlfriend, you're left without an emotional support group. No matter how little you needed that, you still needed it. Now let's talk about the jealousy, because it's a real and distinct emotion. This isn't about romantic interest. This isn't even about your homeboy wanting to smash your girlfriend. It's your brain signaling that a valued relationship between you and your best friend is under threat. It's a fear response. One fascinating University of Missouri study even found that men's testosterone tends to decrease when they interact with their friend's romantic partner. Hold on. Let's say that one more time. Men's testosterone levels, their mojo, their drive, their ability to make it happen, decreases when they interact with their homeboy's romantic partner. Psychological off switch. Theory is that this might be an evolutionary bro code, because you're not supposed to sleep with your homeboy's girl, to reduce rivalry and promote group stability. But the jealousy that you feel is about competing for the friend, not the partner. So it's the fear of replacement by the girl. And this feeling isn't a character flaw. It's a signal that the friendship matters to you, right? Michael says, I thrive off watching you getting a flat tire and seeing you flying through the blackberry bushes and come out looking like Jesus Christ. First of all, I was sitting over here thinking about getting that flat tire and how would I fly through and then I realized I'd have to be riding on a bicycle, because if I got a flat tire in a car, there would be no blackberry bush. We'd be off a cliff. We would be like them Teslas in the early 2000s. We'd be like them Teslas that was making a left turn and veered up to the right, clean off the cliff. It'd be like one of them. But no, on a bicycle, yeah, I could see getting a flat tire, especially front tire catching a flat, and then just a wheel off into the bushes. But yeah, I find humor in my homies making mistakes. I get a good laugh out of it. I help them up when I finish laughing, but I gotta finish laughing first. Actually, I had a homeboy who fell and hurt himself, and it wasn't serious, but the fact that he did the Homer Simpson I was cracking up laughing. He's like, "You're gonna help me up?" I'm like, "No, stay there. I'm not done laughing." And I had to finish laughing at him before I got him up off of the ground. Ah. Oh, he said, "No, you're jealous because he's getting Miss P." You know, truth be told, one guy does not have jealousy over another guy being in a romantic relationship, but one guy who never picks up girls when y'all go out to the club will be jealous that you're able to pick up more girls than he's able to pick up. He will, in those dynamics, start trying to cock block you, trying to prevent you from picking up a girl because he can't pick up a girl. Also, when you go places, if you meet a girl and that turns into a relationship, as a defense mechanism to the friendship that y'all have, your homeboy will block you from getting involved in a new relationship by devaluing you in front of that girl, so that she will turn you down, so that you will stay single, so that you can keep being his homie. Now, women do this a little bit differently, because when women travel in packs, you have what is called the mother hen in the group that rejects all of the men for the group as the men come to the group, to prevent anyone in the group from finding a new man. It happens on both sides of the fence. The one girl with the piss poor attitude that doesn't have a man, who isn't likely to get a man because of her piss poor attitude, is the first one to speak up on behalf of other women in the group when a man shows up before they can even determine if it's a good man or not. And she will devalue him and make him leave the group. And then she will justify her behavior. Fuck him, girl life, woo. And that the girl that would have potentially met a good man is now sitting there wondering what if, but immediately dismissing it because girl code, girls are supposed to stick together and all men are supposed to be creeps. Crazy, right? But had the bitter bitch sat down and shut up, the girl that was being talked to might have found her next husband. Just saying. Ladies, y'all ain't gotta like what I'm trying to tell you. It's just, it is a dynamic. Women block each other from success in romantic relationships the way men block each other from success in romantic relationships, because they don't want to be the only person in the group that doesn't have somebody. It's true. The pain is proportional to the bond's value. The more that that person means to you, the more that it's going to bother you that they are involved with somebody else. Clearly, noting this fact, I have come to realize that my bond with my homies are not as strong as it could be, because I could give two shits if they're with another chick. Probably because I'm glad that they're somebody else's problem now. Go talk to your girl and have her fix your job situation. Don't call me. Petty if you want to call it petty, but I'm free. The problem isn't the feeling itself, but our inability to process the feeling. Instead of seeing it as a signal to communicate, we often see it as a shameful emotion that we're supposed to suppress, which only poisons the friendship further. Because whenever you suppress something, whenever you bottle something up and you hold it in, it festers in weird ways and then is expressed when you can no longer suppress it in inappropriate ways. And it is observed by onlookers who don't know what's going on in the most negative way. Understanding the move, the experience from petty drama to legitimate psychological pain, you will then be able to realize how to address this situation. Now, I'm going to tell you guys one more time, and just a quick pause. If the story is hitting close to home and you've ever felt sidelined in a friendship, take a second to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, mash those reaction buttons. It really helps the algorithm show the videos that we're posting up are more valuable to people than what people realize. And since this is a very underrated show, more and more people might be going through the same thing and feel totally alone in it. So this is a conversation not enough of us are having, and your engagement helps get it started. So, I greatly appreciate any effort that you guys put into sharing it with somebody, in addition to just hitting those like and subscribe buttons, in addition to mashing those reaction buttons, because on the long form, you've got the reaction buttons over here off to the side. And on the 16:9, it's like way off to the side, off on that side over there. So Michael says, now you have a void to fill. You're right. You do have a void to fill. When an individual comes in and acquires your best friend, it does develop a very, very uncomfortable void. Well, if you've been alone for a long period of time, you will develop a level of comfort with being alone. But if your best friend that you've been around for 10, 15, 20 years, that you have had unlimited access to whenever you wasn't at work, whenever you needed somebody to talk to, whenever they needed somebody to talk to you. Before you could get lonely, they were bothering you with something stupid. Before you could get bored, they were bothering you with something idiotic. Before they could get lonely, you were hitting them up about this new event that's going to happen. All of these things that go down that puts you in a position where people don't really pay attention to the effects of the ability to get used to having people around you. They don't recognize the um, expectations that come from having somebody that you're readily accessible to. So you've got to realize that once that's no longer there, it's just like when you break up with somebody that you've been dating for 3 years. It's just like when you break up with somebody that you've been dating since college, 10 years y'all been together. The emotional distress that you're in during that breakup. Or wait, think about before y'all break up, when you know the relationship is falling apart. You think about how it is ending, and that separation anxiety triggers high levels of depression, high levels of emotional detachment that is needed in order for you to prepare for the pending separation. Michael says, actually, a lot of people can't be alone. It's very uncomfortable to them. Bro, they got some people who can't be in a room by themselves. They will go insane. You put me in a room by myself. Matter of fact, put me in a room by myself and take away all the video games. I will be in there sleeping, meditating, getting so much goddamn rest. I mean, oh, he says, how much is it to buy subscribers? I don't know. You tell me. How often have you bought a subscriber, guy? Because my subscribers are organic. That's why you're here asking me stupid questions that are unrelated to the topic. Again, we have people who need attention who come into the show with negative influence. Either way, some people will take negative attention over positive attention because negative attention is easier to come by. And since negative attention is easier to come by, jealousy can be manifested as ways to address and appreciate negative attention. So let's talk about what we can actually do about coming across a lot of this negativity, because we validated the pain, but understanding is only half of the battle. Oh, look, right? How much money is in his pocket? Yeah, because he could buy me some fans. I don't know how much fans cost, but he could buy me some fans. Your behavior is not very welcoming, sir, because this is a podcast where we're talking to people about how to improve themselves and how to navigate psychological and emotional complications. And you have made two already inappropriate comments on the show. If you're paying attention to the background, you're not paying attention to the topic at hand, and you don't belong here. If you're asking me inappropriate questions about buying an audience when you're clearly here and you weren't paid to come here, then you're not belonging in this podcast. So, I mean, if you're going to be here, I expect you to be here appropriately, directly related to the topic at hand. And right now, we're talking about homeboys who have had long-standing friendships that get compromised by a romantic relationship where one of the friends ends up with a girlfriend or something to that effect, and how to navigate that emotional dysfunction. Because whether you're the person that gets the girlfriend or your homeboy from way back when is the one that gets the girlfriend, y'all are going to have a complication that y'all need to address. This podcast works on self-improvement as well as financial improvement. So you will be able to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday work on your personal decision-making skills, which is what we're talking about today. How to navigate maintaining friendships with the people that you value the most while improving your life and expanding your horizons. Then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we talk to you about ways to expand your money, expand your accessibility to knowledge so that you can make, save, and invest money in more appropriate fashions. So that, like Jesse, who was here yesterday, talked about how the advice I gave him changed his life. and improved his financial stability. People come here to learn. Now, if you come here to be an asshole, then by all means, bro, you don't belong here. So Michael's giving you a pass, and he hasn't used his trigger finger on you yet. But I'm going to be honest with you. Before he gets to you, I'm going to get to you. You'll end up being a fourth person tonight that I would have blocked off the podcast. So I ask you that if you're going to hang out, be respectful. But if you're not, then just keep scrolling, because you don't have to be a yes man to be here. You can object to the opinions that I have and provide logical facts that dismantles what I'm trying to talk about here. But if you have no positive comments towards the topic, whether you agree or disagree, you can be a lot like the women that watch this show and say absolutely nothing. But I mean, if you're going to comment, I expect you to comment appropriately. Now, Michael Michael has then filtered it, because he said bros over girls any day. What we used to say was bros before hoes is what we used to say, and girls used to say chicks before dicks. It's the common saying. But the dynamic is that while we think about that, the truth is that he said, "Let me finger him." Hey, you can finger him if you want to. If I would have seen one more stupid comment, I would have hit him. You can get that guy. You can get him. I don't know why you ain't got him the first 2 times I had deleted his comment. But even though we have those mantras, the fact is that we feel some kind of way when our homie is dating somebody else. Women do the same thing. Women do the same thing, because it is human nature when you end up in a new relationship that you prioritize with tunnel vision that relationship. You stop spending time with your friends. You stop spending as much time focusing on your job. You stop spending as much time with your family. Every waking moment is enveloped with this new person. People know that you're in a relationship without you having to tell them, even if you keep the relationship a secret, because you are missing more often than you are found, when your normal behavior patterns is to always be present, and now you are just absent without notice. They know that you've got something going on, and when you feel ready, when you feel comfortable, you will be able to pass that information along that you've got somebody. And then we're supposed to pretend like we didn't know. Even if we saw y'all together in public, we're going to hide in the corner and, ooh, look, look. And then when you tell us, then we're going to be trying to pretend like it didn't happen. Oh, yeah, really? Wow. You know, we're supposed to be supportive, but the truth of the matter is that there will be, whether it is mild or severe, feelings of resentment that we're not the priority in our best friend's life anymore. It's a thing. Michael says, happy Friday. Remember to make your bed in the morning, and you'll have done more than most people all day. Damn, you don't know how true that is. You don't know how true that is. If you can make it a priority to accomplish one repetitive task every day, you'll find yourself doing more than most people do in an entire day. Yeah, he is right about that. Validating the pain is understanding half of the battle. Wallowing in it will only lead to bitterness and the guaranteed end of the friendship. So the goal isn't to turn back the clock, but to build friendship 2.0. And this is going to take a little bit of work. It requires swallowing your pride a little bit, drinking a few beers, smoking a couple of joints, and really getting to understand this. But it isn't the only way forward. Now, I'm going to give you 3 steps. And this is going to be the framework for navigating the new territory that you're getting into, whether you're the friend that has the new relationship or you're the friend that is being replaced in the new relationship. And this is going to be the hardest and most important steps that you guys need to face. First, you have to accept that the friendship will never be exactly the same as it was as long as this new person is involved. It just can't be. Your life has a new primary axis. Trying to fight this is like trying to fight gravity, because if you prioritize your homeboys over your romantic partner, she will guilt trip you about it. Ladies, this is true. Any woman that is willing to jump on a podcast tonight and say that you will not make your man feel bad about leaving you, whatever you got going through, to go hang out with his homeboys as if he didn't care about you, please speak up or forever hold y'all peace. But truth is that the guys have to choose. Is she more important than his homies? And vice versa, ladies. In relationships, y'all got men who will make y'all choose between y'all homegirls that y'all done known since childbirth and him. He just got there. It's a dynamic that happens on both sides. But that's the funny part, though, Michael. While friendships come and go, romantic partners come and go. Best friends last longer than most. But best friends, just like family, they end up probably being there the longest, but still being put on the back burner when new friends show up, when new romantic partners show up, when you get invited to new social groups. You change your priorities. You prioritize the new because you're content with the old. A special shout out to Pillow. He said, "What's up, Neo? I appreciate that. I'm doing good. How are you doing? Where's that dog? Right over here." I keep pushing him out of the way, but he be looking at me. Look, now, come on. Look, now he gonna be like, oh, I get to come and join the show. Here he comes. Here he comes. Ugh. And see, he don't just jump. He got to slink up. He got to slink up like he don't know how to use his legs. Oh, he said, going to bed, got a doom scroll. If you doom scroll fast enough, bro, you're going to be back at this podcast because we've been live for the last hour and a half. And I think we're at the top of the list and at the bottom of the list. He said, oh, great. Now I've been put on the back burner. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. So now, look, now I got to flip him back off. Now, you got to remember when we're dealing with these friendships, we're trying to reinvent the friendship. You have to accept that the friendship is not going to be the way it used to be. So you will lose if you try to fight this. And you will be exhausting yourself trying to force the scenario to stay the way it used to be. Yeah, I love dogs too. I love cats, but I can't take cats with me everywhere I go. It would be impressive if I could take cats with me everywhere I go, but unfortunately, the laws in the United States favor dogs over cats. So I get dogs and I take dogs with me everywhere I go because the dogs are easier to transport. It doesn't take a lot of money or effort to train a dog, register a dog, and then put him on your flight manifest, and now the dog has a VIP seat. Doesn't work for a cat. You're going to have to put it on a carry-on. Now, fighting the change looks like making guilt-tripping comments. Must be nice to having free time. To hang out with them as a couple. You know, being cold to his new partner. Get a pet worm? Nah, I can't get a pet worm. And the reason why I can't get a pet worm is because I like to go fishing. If I had 30 pet worms, I would have 15 fish. And then I would have to go buy 30 more worms. You might find yourself performing these actions, all framing you as an obstacle in his happiness. So he will be forced to choose, and he won't choose you because he's getting laid. So It's not because he values you less, but because his romantic partnership is a natural and healthy progression in his adult life. So radical acceptance means letting go of the expectation that you'll be his number one priority while he's in a relationship. Now, as soon as he breaks up, of course, you will go back to being the priority person because you're going to be the first person he reaches out to when he breaks up. And if this isn't the first breakup he's had, you're going to be in the priority of picking up the pieces every time he breaks up. You might get used to him getting into relationships that don't last, which means that you will have no problem with the fifth, eighth, or 10th girl because they don't last. But the one that becomes serious, the one that becomes the one that never goes away, the dynamic is still going to change. You're still going to be impacted by that. Radical acceptance means letting go of the exception that you'll be his number one priority, right? Now, it's not an abandonment, it's an expansion of his world. And the challenge is finding your new sustainable place in his world. Now, the friendship is going to be moving forward in high quantity to a low effort phase of low quantity and high effort phases after the low effort, high quantity phase. Now, accepting this, you can start to work within a new dynamic. He said, it's a dog. Lefty. He's a lefty. He's always trying to hit me in the face with his left hand. He's a lefty. And see, look, there go the left hand right there. He a lefty. He always trying to slap me with his left. I taught him, I touched his nose when he was a puppy, and he learned how to do that. And now he's trying to touch noses with his paw. And I'm like, no, I'm not touching. You're not touching. And no with the nose touch. And then he'll end up hitting me in the face. And it's just like, and then I got a black eye. And I got to be like, I walked into a door. I need to rename my dog Ike. Call him Chris Brown because he's abusive. He's a spotlight hog. He said, "Oh yeah, man, can you just move? This is my show." Now, avoiding conversations with your homie is the number one reason that your friendship is gonna die because you need to clear the air when you're in a bromance that now has a romantic partner involved. But how you do it is everything. You don't go in hot with accusations like you've completely abandoned me. That would just make them defensive. If you accuse your partner, if you accuse your friend of doing something, they're going to immediately flip into defense mode. Find the right time, typically while you guys are hanging out in person, not over text, not when he's with her, especially not when he's with her. he's got a better hairline. Well, yeah, he's growing in his winter coat. It's about to get cold out here in Florida. It's going to be, what, 72 degrees coming up? Woo-hoo! That's cold in comparison to the 120 we had for the summer. You want to ask your homie to grab a coffee or a beer, a couple shots of Johnny Walker Blue, just the two of y'all. And when you sit down, you use a simple script as a guideline, and you want to start with something positive, And this is non-negotiable. It shows that you're coming from a place of support, but you're still respecting your own individual autonomy. Like, hey man, first off, I'm genuinely so happy for you and Sarah. It's awesome seeing this situation work out. I'm glad that you guys are so happy, but using these I statements. And this is about your feelings, not his crimes. Lately, I've been feeling a bit distant from you. And to be honest, I feel a little like I've been replaced. I miss just hanging out like we used to. Acknowledge his reality. Show that you're being reasonable. Oh, I know things are different now. And I totally get that. She's your priority. That's how it should be. And then propose a collaborative solution. Frame it as a shared goal. I just want to make sure that we don't drift apart. So could we maybe try to carve out some one-on-one time, even if it's just once a month, just to catch up like the old days? It would mean a lot to me. And this approach affirms his new relationship, takes ownership of your feelings without blaming him, and offers a clear, actionable solution. Now, he might genuinely be oblivious and apologetic, and he might get a little defensive, but you've replaced the toxic silence with honest communication, and you've honored the friendship by fighting for it the right way. He says, homie, grab a bottle of lotion. Nah, that ain't gonna work. Oh, we're gonna have this conversation over some Pornhub. Rumor has it that they're gonna start making you register with your driver's license to watch adult films in a few days. I'm gonna see how true that is. That's what I heard. Uh, that's gonna be incredible to see, because I hear that it's supposed to be all over the place, but I don't know how true that is. The people who really need that is gonna be, yeah, bro, yeah, bro. In order for you to watch videos that require lotion, you're gonna have to put your driver's license up there to prove that you're over the age of 18. No, sir. There is a two-part process of being a dirty old man. Part one is being a dirty old man. Part two is being anonymous. You want some candy? I got some candy in my basement. All right, let's sign up. Now, next, excuse me. This is something that hey, it's going to be all about you. One reason is that this situation, when you're letting your homie know that everything is changing and you want to make sure that he prioritizes you, this is something that's going to hurt so much, but it's going to be over your resilience. So if your best friend is your entire support system, his withdrawal creates a massive void. No single person, not a friend or a spouse, can be the sole pillar of your social life. So again, this is going to be a situation where you're going to have to become the CEO of your own social life. And this isn't about replacing your homie. It's about building a more resilient network so the neutral ebbs and flows of one friendship doesn't leave you feeling isolated or overly dependent on one individual friend, allowing that friend to spread their wings in their own individual relationships and still have the appropriate times with you. Michael says, I have to get a clerk at Walmart to get a rated R video. That's crazy. Yeah, bro. A video game that's rated MA for mature, you got to get a manager to come in and check that out. You can't just go and pick that stuff up. It's crazy. He said allergy to the dog. I don't think so. Well, he is shedding. He is shedding. So I could have just gotten a lot of dog hair just now. I'm gonna have to brush his coat. No, but I'm not letting him go. I don't care if I was allergic to dogs. I'd be allergic. I'd had this dog for 4 years, and if I'm allergic to him, I'm gonna be allergic to him for another 8 years because his life expectancy is 12. And by the time he's 9, I'm gonna have a third dog. It's gonna be a training process. You have an old dog that's like 8 years old or whatever, and then you get you a puppy. By the time the 8-year-old dog is like 10 or 11 years old, the puppy is 3 years old, and they're both able to function together. That's when you got you a good pack. So when your old dog passes at like 12, 15, whatever, and your new dog is like 5 or 6, the transition less impactful. To go from having a dog to not having a dog, it's like burying your wife and your mistress at the same time because they both died in the same car crash. But if you've got 2 dogs and you lose one dog, you can grieve with the dog that's still alive and you'd be just fine. Get over it faster. Now, when we start talking about reconnecting with society, what does this look like? Think about other friends that you've lost touch with because you focused on only one friend. Send simple text messages like, "Hey man, it's been a while. How you been?" Uh, and you'd be surprised that many people are happy to hear from you, even after years. You want to invest in a 2-tier friendship, and you probably have other friends that you don't see often, and you want to start investing more in them, putting more time in them. But you got to remember that you want to make sure that you have friends of value, people that you can benefit from, as well as friends that can benefit from you. Be the one that initiates a lot of the plans so that you're not just winging it with them. And then at times you want to go back to the source. Where did you meet your best friend? Shared hobby, a sport, join a rec league, a book club, or D&D group. Shared activities are the fertile soil where male friendships grow. So then you want to be a better friend for yourself. You know, has this experience made you realize that you've let other connections slide? Use this as a catalyst to be the kind of friend that you wish you had right now. You know that old saying, um, fake it till you make it, or be the success that you look for? Do the same thing. Be the type of person that you want to hang around so that people who emulate that will hang around you and behave the way that you behave. Michael says your old dog trains your new dog. You're exactly right. Actually, because you have an old dog that you have thoroughly trained, when you get a new dog, the new dog helps the old dog helps you train the new dog. Then you don't have to worry about putting so much effort into training a new dog. Now, this doesn't work with women, but it should. We get a new girlfriend and we have the wife train the girlfriend so that we don't have to put as much effort into the girlfriend. In Dubai, that would work. They don't complain in Dubai as long as everybody gets an allowance. Now, about these friendships, by branching out, you reduce the pressure on your one best friend, and you can approach it from a place of abundance, not scarcity. So instead of this being your only connection to civilization that is dissipating because it's in a relationship, you can navigate and redirect your attention from the friend that is involved with someone else to a friend that has a little bit more availability. Your happiness will no longer be solely dependent on the individual availability of the one friend that's in a relationship, which ironically makes you a more attractive friend for him to be around anyway, because you have a life. He is trapped with his romantic partner. And a lot of men, typically 9 months to 18 months into their relationship, remember that they're trapped in this relationship and start looking to get out again and start reconnecting with their friends. So it's quite a few months that you got to deal with it. But right after they creep out of that honeymoon phase, about 90 to 120 days, that's when your buddy back. Ladies, y'all do the same thing. Y'all get tired of y'all man within 3 months and y'all start hanging out with y'all homegirls again. I miss my friend. I ain't seen her in so long. She got married. I want to go see her kids. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to a club. Bros are like, we're going to go in a garage and change the oil pump and drink a few beers. The dynamic is different, but the model is still the same. So where does this leave us? The best case scenario isn't a magical return to the past. The hope for resolution is a quieter and more mature engagement. It's the scene where, after having that awkward but necessary conversation, the two of you are just hanging out like homies, the way y'all always used to, just in a newer fashion. And you talk not about her, just about the good old days, but about the now. So you don't just talk about how things used to be before her. You talk about how good things are now without talking about her. You know, talk about your job, his job, your project, the stupid movie that you both saw last week. You know, it feels different, more scheduled, more precious, maybe, but it's still real. And there's an unspoken acknowledgement that things haven't changed that much, but the foundation is still there. And there has been some change, some adaptation. But the more you improve in life, the more your friendships, your true friendships, are supposed to improve with you. The more that you um, grow, more successful you become. More successful your network is supposed to be. So if you expand your life from being single to being in a relationship and you don't have a positive support group, you need to change your support group. Plain and simple. Like, I can't even think of an add-on to that. It's like true to life. If you don't have a positive support group, you need to find you a better support group. Now, keep in mind though, if you're the kind of person that continuously makes bad decisions, you end up in a bad relationship because you have bad decision-making skills. You pick a partner that is not good for you. Your friends try to warn you about it. They're going to back off and let you fail about it so that when you finish failing about it, you can come back and always meet with them. And they're going to tell you, bro, I told you that wasn't good for you. A positive support group is going to try to do the best for you. But it's hard to tell the difference between friends that deter you from a bad choice in a romantic partner and friends that deter you out of jealousy of the fact that they're losing their best friend. Most of us kill the messenger, meaning that if we know that your girlfriend is for the streets because she got 3 other boyfriends on the side and 2 of them is her baby daddy, and you didn't know that, if we told you, you would dismiss us in the most disrespectful fashion because you don't want to believe that that is true. But then when you find out that it is true, you come back and apologize. However, if we didn't tell you because we didn't want you to tee off on us like that, you would tee off on us anyway because you wish you would have known. It puts us as friends in a very double standard situation because either we're going to be the bearer of bad news and have to bear the weight of your rejection because we told you about bad things to come, or we're going to be the bad friend that kept a secret that we should have disclosed as soon as we found out about it. There's no win there. Friendships aren't statues that are frozen in time. They're living things, and they have to adapt to the current situations or they'll die. The legendary bromance of your 20s, of your teens, can't and shouldn't look the same as any type of bromance that you have in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. The survival of your friendships depends on the ability to evolve with the type of life that you have now, whether that life is a long-term romantic partner, a wife, children, third divorce, whatever it is, it has to evolve with you. The goal isn't to prevent the change, but to survive it together. And you can. It takes honesty, effort, and a willingness to let go of what was to make room for what can be. The bond might look different, but in that new intention, you can find a new kind of depth. And if you ever felt this way, share your story in the comments down below because you will quickly see how universal this experience is. And if you have a friend who might need to hear this, either the one feeling left behind or the one who might be unknowingly doing the leaving, You got to send them tonight's show, because sometimes an outside perspective is all it takes to start the conversation that saves the friendship, which was the core of tonight's show. It's not about having a bitch fest. It's not about bad mouthing individuals. It's about recognizing that there are things in this world that we cannot control. We have to navigate around them. Your best friend, be it male or female, getting into a relationship that is serious for them is something you cannot control. You navigate around that relationship by trying to maintain a positive and healthy relationship with your best friend. You getting into a romantic relationship with somebody that means the world to you is somewhat inside of your control, but the way your friend feels about it is outside of your control. You have to navigate around your friend's discontent when you realize their jealous behavior. When you realize that they're acting out of character, they're being a little extra disrespectful, they're being a little bit inappropriate, they're not treating you or your partner normally based on the way y'all would have interacted with one another under normal circumstances. This happens because they are afraid of losing their best friend, not because they want your girlfriend. They don't cause your girlfriend to break up with you so that they can hook up with your girlfriend. Now, ladies, y'all know that y'all got girlfriends that'll sabotage your relationship by sleeping with your homie. But it's not because they wanted your man. A lot of times, your friend is doing that, one, to prove that your man ain't worth it, because if he's willing to sleep with her, then he's willing to sleep with somebody else. But then the other thing they're going to do is they're going to turn around and destroy that interaction so that they can keep you as the best friend. It's not a positive approach. Parents have done this from time to time. Bribe your boyfriend with a bunch of money to make him leave, to prove to you that he only wanted your money. The boy could be broke and taking care of his mom and them, and he'll take that money and go and do something noble with it. But the fact that he accepted a large quantity of money from your parents, you mad at him because he took the money and left. You mad at your parents because they tried to prove that he wasn't worth it by offering him a chunk of change. And if this ain't the first time that they've done that, you really mad at your parents. But the thing is that they didn't do it to hurt you. They did it to maintain their connection with you. Now, it wasn't the appropriate way to go about doing things. But now that you understand why they're doing what they're doing, you can navigate around that. If you reassure them that your bonds with them will not be broken, will not be compromised, and you put forth the effort to maintain those bonds with them while maintaining the bonds with the new individual, if the new individual lasts, then you will have a better way to go. If the individual doesn't last, it doesn't matter. Your network, your family, your friends, the people that you hold dear, if you treat them respectfully, should still be there after you're gone, after the other person is gone. That's what you have to remember. The whole mentality, bros before hoes, or chicks before dicks, or friends before family, blood is thicker than water, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the room. All the phrases that people use to itemize that you value one social group over another doesn't change the fact that when new people interact with that group, your group's bond, just like a chemical reaction, is shifted. It can stay together, but it will formulate a new structure. And you have to be able to adapt to that new structure. If a bond breaks, you have to be able to adapt to the new structure. That is the only way that you will be able to sustain whatever friendships, whatever interactions you're going to have in your life. So that's all we got for you guys for tonight. We want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then fellas, I provide you guys with this information to help you guys become higher value men by making changes in your life with the things that you can control with your business life as well as your personal life. You will then be able to change the things that you don't like and improve the things that you do like. giving you a better standard of living, a better way of life. Ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, hold on, Dylan said, what happened to my clock? I thought it was. No, I got here so late. I was alive. Man, alive was excellent. We've been here for 2 whole hours, bro. 2 whole hours. I don't know what happened to your clock. You need to set like 30 alarm clocks. Hit the notification bell. Turn on your notifications for YouTube. It'll give you a push notification when the show goes live. You can set an alarm clock for 10 and then 10:15 dive in. But today we were talking about how male bonds are compromised by extra friendships or romantic partnerships, and giving you guys information as to how you can make those changes. Dang, my bad, guy. I took a nap early. Hey, that's okay. I really appreciate you. I would have carried it another hour, but I have to get ready for an appointment that I have in like the next 45 minutes. So since I got to work right after the podcast, I can't linger for another hour and 45 minutes and give you another hour to show. But what you can do is no, not guys meeting side chicks. Like, say for example, your male best friend from way back when. You guys known each other since college, 15, 20 years. You guys been together since high school. You guys are best friends from childhood. And then one of y'all get a girlfriend and they act different because they got this new chick. And your relationship is not the same as it used to be. And you feel some kind of way about it. You know, today we were talking about how like it's not a bad thing to have those types of feelings. It is not a bad thing to start reacting negatively because this person is in a new relationship, but you have to recognize that your behavior is inappropriate and negatively impacting your overall lifetime friendship. And you need to navigate how to affect that change more appropriately so that you have the capabilities to keep your best friend even through his relationship. Because if you're the one getting into the relationship, you might not know that you have changed the way that you're interacting with your best friend. But if you're the best friend and he got into another relationship, you are the one that's going to notice that he's not there as much as he used to be. He's not easily accessible as much as he used to be. And now, out of respect for his girlfriend, he's got to get permission from his girlfriend to come and interact with you instead of him being a man and walking out the house on principle and going to hang out with you because you was there first. So we were talking about all of the nuances about how to get around that, how this looks, and what to do to make changes and improve towards it. I said, well, yeah, of course it happens. Yeah. So you can always go back and tiptoe to the show from the beginning because we had a lot of entertaining discussions. Michael was very helpful today. As long as it doesn't turn into dating the same girl. We'll see. We actually talked about that today. Statistically, men's testosterone levels, which controls their sex drive, actually decrease when a guy is interacting with his best friend's girl. Now, typically, the only time that a guy is ending up having an affair with his friend's girl is typically when his friend's girl is providing the mannerisms that indicate that she would be interested in a physical interaction. That ability to tease up, rile up, or spark up a connection between the friend and the girlfriend is what leads to the relation. Now, I'm not saying that it's all the girl's fault, but what I am saying is that if she allows for interactions to go beyond strictly platonic, like brother sister style friendships, then that flirtatious interaction with one another will drive an emotional connection between the two of them that will drive a physical connection between the two of them, which will lead to the affairs with the friends. But if she treats him like the big brother that you hate but you still care about, then they're not going to have that interaction, because naturally a man's sex drive is depleted when he's interacting with his homeboy's girlfriend. Well, I don't want friends that can't introduce to my girlfriend, but you have, typically it's part of the bro code to not sleep with your homeboy's girl. So even though you might introduce your girl to your friend, Your friends will be distant. Some friends will be standoffish and like, she don't belong here. This is the man cave kind of behavior. But other friends will allow her to show up, and they will behave differently around her. They won't behave with her the way they would behave with female friends. When y'all have like a female friend in the group and everybody's all like buddy buddy, but when your girlfriend shows up, even the female friend is acting different. It's a thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's a common thing. We went through all the statistics today. Yeah, where there are too many women and men uh, messing with people in your inner circle uh, should never be a good. Well, the how do we put this? If you got 3 or 4 friends that you hang out with, your little small squad, you get you a girlfriend or somebody in the group, get them a girlfriend. They may prioritize their girlfriend, or if it's a group and she got a boyfriend, they might prioritize boyfriend. And when your friend starts prioritizing someone else, you got one less friend in the group. Now, if there's a group of y'all, it's not a issue, because like if there's 5 of y'all and one of y'all disappear, there's still 4 of y'all. Y'all, the group doesn't fall apart because one person shows up. But if it was you and one other person, and that person disappears because they're in a relationship, you are more impacted by that than what you would be if it was like a group of 5 or something like that and one of y'all disappeared. You still got other people to interact with. If it was the 2 of y'all and that was your Call of Duty buddy, if it was the 2 of y'all, that was your pool buddy or your bowling buddy or your fishing buddy, and y'all used to always go out and do this together, and now that person is no longer there, and now you don't have another person to perform this interaction with, that interaction dies. Friends amongst men are slimmer than friends amongst women. And men only express themselves through interaction. So if you don't have that person to play pool with, if you don't have that person to play video games with, if you don't have that person to perform that activity with, you don't have anybody, because you don't express emotions. Just, oh, hey, I want to have a heart to heart with you. It's like, oh, hey, I want to go for a drive. Oh, hey, let's go to this club. Oh, hey, let's go bowling. Let's go fishing. We rarely say, oh, hey, let's go catch a movie, because we're going to interact in a situation where we can, 20 minutes into this interaction, start talking about the shit that's going on in our lives. We don't just call our friend and say, hey, I want to get something off my chest. We'll call our friend, oh, hey, did you see the Lakers game? Oh, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to tell you about this one situation that happened. It breaks down like that. It's never a scenario where we just start off with feelings. We start off with an activity, and feelings happen during an activity, right? This sounds like the Sheriff Rick situation in The Walking Dead. Yeah. Okay, take the Sheriff Rick. Remember how his son started acting when his dad started dating that girl? That's exactly what we're talking about today. It even happens in family. A single mom or a single dad that has always prioritized their kids. They got teenagers now, 15, 16, 17 years old, find themselves in a romantic relationship with somebody. The kids always hate the new person. Oh, she's not going to replace mom, or oh, she's not going to replace daddy. You're an asshole for moving on, right? It's still a jealous reactionary response to the dynamic that the family unit that used to be mom, dad, and me is now mom, dad, and this other chick, or mom, dad, and this other guy. And either mom or dad is prioritizing the new person too much, and we feel emotionally abandoned by that. So that's what today's show was about. We was talking about the dynamics of how to get through that. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, crazy world. Hitting myself on the head for missing tonight. Jeez. Well, I tell you what, while you won't be able, you can comment after the show, and if you wanted to rewatch the show, we have it on replay, so you can still catch the show after the show. So you didn't miss you missed it to be able to interact with me directly, but you didn't really like miss it, because you can catch the replay. And I respond to all of the comments. So if you rewatch the show and you got input on it and you throw down some input, I'll give you some feedback. I typically read all of the comments and I always reply back to all of the people who comment on the show. I sure will need the kids to understand it's a family dynamic and turn the bloodline into Gins and cons, bro. No, the fat bro, it's like Romeo and Juliet. So when you got kids and they have put their claim on the family, they don't give a damn. The, you have to stay single for the rest of your life, because even when your kids, if you was married throughout your child's childhood and then you get divorced after your child grows up, and then you find somebody else, even as an adult, your 30-year-old child will treat you like garbage because you got a new wife or a new husband. That ain't none of their damn business. They married, they got their own kids, they got their own responsibilities to deal with, but they treat you like garbage because you moved on in your life. Sometimes the dynamic is strong. The more they value your relationship with them, the more jealous they're going to become and the more negative they're going to react to it. And that's one of the reasons why I strongly recommend that take time to take a look at it, because it'll help you with, if you ever end up in this situation, or if you know somebody who's ended up in this situation, you kind of know how to put time towards it. And remember, if at all you have the capabilities, put the podcast on in the background. Even if you don't have time to comment on it, you can listen to it while you're doing other stuff. Then put it on for an hour or so. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because we had 2 hours and 10 minutes. First hour and a half was worth it. Hour and a half, first hour and a half, hour 45 minutes was definitely worth it. Yeah, that's crazy. I guess I'm gonna tell him I am going to leave to Asia to become a monk. No, I'm going to tell him the truth. I'm going to Asia to go get one of the Philippine chicks. That way I got one for 15 to 20 years that will not give me no shit. I might get two. That way they can fight over me. Because there's nothing like having two Filipino women beating up an American woman because that's their man. Polygamy. And when you think about the price, one American woman might cost you $3,000 a month, and a Filipino woman costs you $700 a month with inflation. So two Filipino women will cost you $1,500 a month, American dollar. And with two of them, what one woman won't do, the other one should. If your first woman helped you find a second woman, you've got a perfect destruction. This is the way that men in Dubai set up success. If you got 8 alpha boss wives that work together to help you find the ninth, they know what you want. You ain't got to do nothing but enjoy the ride. Oh, thinking like a higher value man. Some women are like, yeah, man, I'll shove his pig. No, but think about it like this, ladies. If y'all had a dude and that dude helped you pick the next dude, and those two dudes help you pick the next two dudes, and you got 3 dudes on your plate, it'd be the same dynamic. He said, Lord, help this man and protect him from all the attacks of the enemy and let him live a long and prosperous life. Woo! Amen. Shalaka mala. All right, now let me wrap tonight's show up because I do got to get to this thing. I got to start setting stuff up. Take a look at the earlier half of the show and try to get a sense of everything that was going on. I'm trying to get it close to 10 o'clock. I don't know, it started on time, but at least by 10:15 I should be here. So tomorrow we're going to be picking up on that topic that we said yesterday about the increasing quantity of homeless people that are happening at the older ages. So that topic that we talked about a couple days ago is actually this Friday's show. So swing by. Any information that you have about that, bring it, and I'll be bringing you deep dives to prove to you all of the information that you didn't know as it relates to this. So we're going to have a nice long conversation about it, and I'm going to try to give you guys some solutions. a lot of the solutions that involve helping other people are I don't want to say fruitless efforts, but they end up feeling like fruitless efforts because Americans don't really share that much unless they're sharing for the sake of um attention, you know. So they'll donate for prestige, for reputation, but they won't just give in the midst of silence. They don't just provide to people because they can. So if there was a model on paper that could be implemented, I don't have a problem with starting something like that up, but it would take a large quantity of people to donate to the podcast in order for me to put something like that into action, which is crazy. But even still, because like I said before, at $10 a month with 138 or 168 million Americans, $10 a month, even with 100 million Americans, $10 a month would be $1 billion a month, and that would be plenty to take care of the homeless. It would effectively eliminate homelessness in America. Just a $10 donation every month to a charity that is dedicated to removing homeless people from the streets, not just providing them with resources and emergency supplies, to deliberately remove them off of the streets and provide them with the resources to reincorporate them into society, helping them find jobs and stuff to that effect. Now, it's not going to work with 100% of the homeless people because some people do not want responsibility and they will prefer to live in the woods than to work and provide for themselves. But the rest of the people who don't want to live that life but don't have a choice, the people work a full-time job and sleep in their car, the people who work a full-time job and live in a hotel, the people who cannot because of certain bad experiences, who recently got evictions, they cannot rent new places because most places consider new evictions high risk tenants, and they shun those people. They deny those people applications for 2 to 5 years. Those people still have good jobs, but because they did not get along with their last landlord, those high risk tenants can't find a place to stay unless they're crashing on somebody else's couch. A real estate development company that charged more money on a security deposit and had a higher premium for the rent for high risk tenants, and say, hey, evictions expected, no eviction turned away, you would have 100% tenancy, and you would be taking so many high risk tenants off the street, and you would be taking so many people out of the hotel. If you could spend $3,000 a month to live in a reasonably priced hotel, you can spend $1,500 a month in an apartment the same size as that hotel. The fact is, transitioning from that hotel to that apartment is something that people don't think about. So uh, changing the model is something that people would have to do, and we're going to be going into detail on that tomorrow. So I got a lot of stuff to do between tonight and tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be a pretty big show. Hopefully, if I have enough availability, I shouldn't run the show about 3 hours. But if I have, I don't think I have somebody immediately after. So I think that the nearest person might be 3 or 4 hours after the show. So it might be a 3 hour show. It might be a 3 to 4 hour show tomorrow. Because I'm going to be going on the ins and outs. And anybody who cares about homeless people, and anybody who cares about making change, and anybody who cares about making improvement is going to be on tomorrow's show commenting. So we're going to be able to weed through the hecklers and then have a very in-depth and deep conversation tomorrow. With that being said, I really do got to go. So I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Thank you for dropping in, Dylan. Thank you so much for dropping in. I really appreciate you. Special shout out to Jesse for yesterday, since he changed his life around from learning on the show. Special shout out to Mike for coming in today. Max the Poser from yesterday. Joe, his father. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Hold on. What platform do you direct people with questions to message you? All of them, really. So if you're on YouTube, you can either put comments in the comment section. If you subscribe to the channel, you can go to the community on the YouTube platform, and you can put comments directly on the channel itself. There is a post for all of the fans on there somewhere, and you can comment there as well. Bayside and Mr. Satellite was having and Izzy All Star from another podcast was commenting on there for quite a bit. And if you're coming from Twitter or Twitch, you can comment to me directly on those channels as well. And I check Twitch less often than I check Twitter, because I check Twitter every day. But if you message me on one of those platforms, I would get a notification from it. I also have them linked to the primary emails to the podcast, because a podcast is established as a business. So we have a business email that receives all of the messages, and I read those emails every day. So if it tells me somebody sent me a message on one of the channels, I get on that channel, I read the messages. So there is a lot of ways that you can reach out to us. But if you simply was watching tonight's show and you had something that you wanted to talk to me about, any video that you're watching, and I see that comment, and then I respond to that comment. So it's not a specific isolated location, but if you join the membership and you were paying for the monthly membership, there's a separate location for membership comments and stuff for the people who pay for the channel. And that might not be readily seen by the people who don't pay for the show, but just a public comment for free. Yeah, you can just throw that anywhere. You can throw that anywhere. Any one of the, what we have now, over 800 videos on this podcast right now. And now that we're doing 2 videos a day, because we got one video for the vertical long form that pops up on a shorts reel and another video for the 16:9, you could grab both of today's shows and message. Because if you notice today, you're commenting from the 16:9 long form, and yesterday you were commenting from the 9:16 vertical, which is 2 separate comment sections, ironically. Which is why 3 or 4 days ago, you wasn't seeing all of the YouTube comments, because you weren't on the same platform as the people that popped in from the shorts reel. So I'm getting comments from everywhere, and it's kind of being funneled in. I'm using StreamYard right now in order to collaborate everything and put you guys' comments onto the show, so that everybody can, allows people who are having a cross-platform conversation to be able to communicate with one another. Because if you guys were having an appropriate conversation, even if I did not react to every comment that came through, I would have your comments up there on the show so that the cross-brand communication would be able to flourish. So we could have 3 or 4 conversations that are appropriate conversations, and you'll see comments rolling here at the bottom for the 16:9 and up there at the top for the 9:16. I've only watched like 1 video and usually just catch the live. Well, now you're going to be watching like yet another video. So there's on the 9:16 on the vertical off to the side, there's a comment section when you're watching the post live show. And on the 16:9, there is at the bottom off to the left a comment section if you're doing it on a computer. But if you're doing it on a cell phone, it is on the 16:9 directly under the video. So if you're watching it on your cell phone, 9:16, it's to the right. But if you're watching it on your cell phone in the 16:9, it's directly below the video. But either way it goes, any comment section that you see, throw information in, and I will provide you with responses back on that information as soon as I get my hands on it. And I check every day. So I'll never miss a message from you. So I as it stands right now, until too many messages come in, I typically respond within 24 hours. So that's all I got for you guys for today. I'm going to start off by saying one more time, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.